In today's session, we're going to discuss the 5 different kinds of subject matter experts. Stay with us, we're coming up. You have instructional design questions. We discuss answers. Today, we're going to talk about subject matter experts, who they are, and why we need them. There are 5 types of subject matter experts to consider when embarking on an ISD project. And Chuck is going to walk us through them. So Chuck, can you get us started with telling us what a subject matter expert is?
Well, as the name would imply, a subject matter expert is an expert on something. That's pretty obvious, right?
Pretty
Way to go,
obvious,
Chuck.
yes.
Yeah, you cleared that up for us.
But just in case someone didn't
But
get
just
that,
in case,
just in case,
just in
we want to
case,
cross our T's, dot our I's, all that
we're
good
going to
stuff.
do that. And the important thing about SMEs, as we call them, or SMEs, if you're upset with them on a particular day, what you want to think about is what role they play in instructional design. And they play an integral role. Most courses cannot be designed without subject matter experts. And as we go through the 5 categories of different kinds of subject matter experts, you're going to see the roles that they generally play in the work that they do. And many times designers become frustrated with SMEs because, they can be difficult like any group of people. And usually that comes from the fact that they don't understand what their role is within the design process. So as you deal with SMEs, you want to make sure you make them part of the team. You want to make sure that they feel welcome and that they know specifically what they're supposed to be doing, and help them along. Be good to them. Nurture your SMEs because they're a really important part of what you do.
Absolutely. Do you find in your work, in the work that you've done, that they can be overwhelmed in the process of being an SME for a project?
Well, if you think about it, if I'm dubbed an SME, let's say, I'm considered one of the top 20 people in my field, and I've been asked to work on this project to bring my expertise in. And I walk in, there's a room full of designers there, and I don't even know what ISD is. I'm used to standing in front of a group of people and lecturing or talking, and then I walk away. And many times I think that they're a tad intimidated by all this, and they're not sure exactly how they fit into it. And I really think it's important that you nurture them. I've said this before, but you know, being the smartest in your field does not make you the smartest in the world. As I've been regularly shown, as good as I might think I am at something, I still have to put gas in my car and run the lawnmower, and I may not do well at those things. So when you think about subject matter experts, they come into this with the best intentions. They want to help out. They want to be part of this, but they don't know what their role is. So many times it's very important that you recognize that, okay, you're the best there is at this, and thank God you're here. And here's what we need. Let's work on this.
Yeah, make them feel really valuable because they are really valuable. And I think if
Oh, they are.
people if
Yeah.
people if people have that notion, that feeling that they are providing a valuable input, then they're more apt to go above and beyond. And I think they're more apt to feel like I really want this to succeed because they really want this to succeed, and now I'm part of this team. And I feel like making them feel like they're part of a team is, like you said, nurturing them. That is a really critical step.
Well, I think the turning point for me, I was, as I said, an SME too. So, I've been on both sides of this, but I was given a very large project. It was to put together an apprenticeship for a very large building trades organization. And we're talking about worldwide. So these are people, you know, just the best at what they do, wherever they go. But try to teach apprentices how to do this job. And that's an undertaking in itself, and that's worth 20 of these shows to get into that kind of work. But the notion was, okay, there were 7 specific fields that we needed to write apprenticeship materials for.
Hmm.
And each one of these 7 had a minimum of 5 subject matter experts that worked in a committee with our instructional designers. So in one place at one time, do the math. I've got a lot of people working on lots of different things and trying to come up with something. And the thing that I found was the more that you empowered them and engaged them, the better this process worked. There'd be moments when we would have to clarify things and we would have to work with them at a professional level, but there were also tremendous opportunities to enjoy each other and to learn from each other. So my test at that time was how to make this all work because they had all had a negative experience with a previous attempt to
Mm,
do this, and they had been ignored and alienated and made to feel stupid and all the things that you don't want to do with a group of very intelligent people. And so off we went. And I got to tell you that I guess 4 years or so we worked on that project. And I just learned so much about subject matter experts. And the things that they taught me, besides the subject matter, was more about how to have professional relationships when you come from completely different spheres of background and knowledge, and how you combine the very technical parts of subject matter experts with the equally as technical parts of instructional design. And it can be done. It can be done incredibly well, but
mm.
you got to think about it.
It sounds like a complex system, but that's what it is. It's a system. And it's also interpersonal. And so there are a few different skill sets needed there. But I feel like the more awareness people have about that, like you just saying that you need to be aware, you need to nurture. That's a really important statement to make, and one that maybe is not made enough out there. So I think that's just worth that special note. Now, you've written a lot about SMEs, and you wrote there are 5 different types. Can you go
Hmm.
into what those 5 different types are, and we'll break them down a little bit further from there.
Yeah, I think the notion that there was one subject matter would be the same as saying, there's one sport or, there's one car or anything else. It's just, this ability to amalgamate things that don't need to be amalgamated. And there are 5 distinct types of subject matter experts. They do 5 different things. It doesn't mean that one subject matter expert can't do more than one of these things. But in terms of how you integrate them into your design system, you want to make sure that you know what role they're going to play. So as we go through this list, we'll talk about each one of these and their qualities and how they engage in the design process. And as you look at subject matter experts, don't think of them as just this one thing because it's not. You're going to make a big mistake that way. You're going to be wasting talent. You're going to be wasting their time in some cases. And put this into your system. 5 components. You could even probably find more than 5 types of subject matter experts, but this is what I came up with. Someone smarter will come up with 7 maybe or whatever. But this is what I saw in my work and how we broke them down.
Now, the first one that you mention in your writing is technical. Can you go into
Technical.
technical?
Yeah, technical is what everybody thinks is an SME. This is someone who is incredibly smart, incredibly good at what they do. The top 20 or the top 5 or the top person. It's technical. What you ask them to do is to give you the subject matter expertise. So when you're working on content, what is the order we should teach these things? So what are the important salient points of this? What are the things we have to cover? What are the things that would be nice to cover? What can we leave out? Those are the kind of things that only a very technical person can tell you. I mean, most instructional designers don't know the content that they design for when you get to a certain level in this field. And frankly, I can't tell you the content in many of the things that I design because that was not my focus. What I learned to do is to take very smart people and take their information and turn it into the magic of a course or a program or a project. So the technical person is that smart person that comes in and says, this is the stuff you need to talk about. This is the order you need to talk about it in. And this is how you know if somebody knows this content, whether they can master this.
That's really powerful. The next one that you mentioned is hybrid.
Hybrids, it's a unique individual that can both be the technical person, could be something else too. And usually what they are is a teacher. So if you think about it, academic kinds of subject matter experts generally teach. So if I'm a great physicist or anything else, a biologist, what have you, not only am I doing research and I'm good at what I do, but I also teach it because that's what I do. I work at a college, I work at a university, I teach courses. And this individual can give you both the content knowledge and can help you think about how you want to structure a course. So, what works best? What kind of demonstrations do you do? What kind of exams do you give? How do you know when there's mastery here? How do you look at proficiency? How long should it take for somebody to get from A to B? And those are the kind of things that this hybrid will allow you to do because, once again, very smart, but also teaching. And you're going to be teaching. Something's going to happen after this course that's going to be implemented. So if you can get those two expertise in one person, that's a bonus.
Yeah, it sounds like the best of both worlds there.
Really is.
Absolutely. Now, what about instructional subject matter experts?
Instructional SMEs are people that are predominantly teachers. So if you're going to get into an area that you're not comfortable with or that you don't have experience in terms of implementation, here's where you want somebody that teaches this all the time. So when I do things in apprenticeship, so say I'm working with a group that painters, electricians, bricklayers, iron workers, any of these trades, so incredibly complicated. But there's a group of men and women that teach this every day, and they can tell you what works best with all of this. So you look at these folks and you think, okay, I can help them with the design part of it, but they're going to help me understand how learners react to things. How far can I push somebody in terms of getting them to perform? What's the best for looking at mastery? So their job is not so much the content. It's rarely the content. It's more about how do you be successful with this group of people? How can you teach them best? And what will they accept and what won't they accept? And all those kind of teacher things that you're not going to get from anywhere else.
Yeah, it's all this is all reminding me of, I think about a crew on a ship. Like every
Hmm.
person on that crew is vital to a certain component, a certain part of the job that keeps that ship up floating, right?
Yeah.
And that's what this is reminding me of. It's these are the subject matter experts are vital components to your design plan. What about functional SMEs? What do they do?
Functional SMEs are a very particular group. And I would think most designers and most people in general would not consider them subject matter experts. But in a way, they're probably the most important at what they do. So we're talking about people that take pictures, photographers, videographers, people that write code, people that manage other parts of this function that a designer, frankly, is probably not the best person to be doing it. So if you're putting together materials, you want somebody who can lay out a book or lay out a handout or do something like that. If you need pictures of a group to put in a video or in some of their materials, you want a good photographer. You're doing videos like we're doing today. You definitely want somebody as talented as you, right, Denise? I mean, you are a functional SME. And so these are the folks that are not traditionally SMEs for most people's minds, but in my mind, they are absolutely subject matter experts. They are the best at what they do, and you need to define them as such. And I would make them part of the SME family in a project. I would put them right at the table with everybody else.
The last one that you mentioned is the Sentinel SME. What is that?
A Sentinel SME, this is an interesting category, and I fought with myself over this one about making this part of this group. A Sentinel SME is someone who manages the process. And many times in many projects I've seen someone who's been in a field for, 30, 40 years, and then now risen to a point of authority and management where they're putting together the component parts of a new series of courses or projects or whatever. So as their experience would sit on their shoulder, they would want to be a subject matter expert. And many times their information is dated at best. But they always have the better idea, right? You're sitting there going through these things, and you've got a sentinel that doesn't like the way you're doing it because that's not the way we did it. And I say this in a negative way. I don't mean it to be negative. It's just something you have to be aware of. The people with many years of expertise assume they still are state of the art, and many times they're not. So when you have a Sentinel SME, the best thing to do is try to get their trust and let them see that you just need to do your thing and they need to do theirs. That you can make them comfortable with the fact you're going to give them the best product that they're ever going to get and be confident in the system and how we do things. But sometimes you have to gently, yeah, okay, that's great. I'll bet that was wonderful. Um, thank you. But this is the kind of SME that drives an instructional designer sometimes a little wacky. because you have to think about the best way to utilize them. And, I've frankly been embarrassed in a group, in a board of directors meeting, because I had a Sentinel SME that challenged my credentials. And I thought for a second, and the ex-cop came out, and I was going to wrestle with him, but I thought that probably wasn't the best thing to do. So I just very calmly said, okay, well, you're very well known in your field and you've accomplished quite a few things. You just aren't familiar with ISD. Um, Let me go over the things that I know about this. But you'll find yourself in those situations sometimes with sentinels. And if you're
Yeah.
not prepared for it, if you don't think about it, and you're not in the right mindset, you may be offended, you may be
A little
irritated,
frustrated.
a little
Yeah.
frustrated. Now I just laugh because I know what they are, and I've identified that they're wonderful people, but they just have this. They have to show you that they know, and that's why they have
Absolutely.
this job. And okay, I honor that. You did great work. We should respect everything you've done and feel great about that. Now let us do our job.
Yeah. I think the way you approach it sounds like a really great approach because, I mean, people want to feel that value, and especially the sentinel types who they probably feel a little apprehension, a little bit
Well, they're
defensive in a
threatened.
way. Yeah. And so
Yeah,
by putting them at ease, by recognizing that they do have value, and
and they
then
do.
also recognizing and showing them that you have value, that sounds like a great combination and a great win-win situation too.
Well, and the thing that I fought with before I put this in the last book about the 5 different types was, do I really want to identify this? Do I want to talk about how this engages with SMEs? And the more I thought about it, the more I thought about my experiences and my frustration sometimes with not having the best answer on how to deal with this. And I thought, I'm going to put it out there and I want people to think about it. And I think the more you recognize that something exists, the more likely you are to be comfortable with trying to address some issues when they come up. And this is not to say the Sentinels are always negatives. I mean, very seldom are they negatives. It's just that they will have an opinion, and you have to be okay with them having an opinion.
Right. You have to
And
be able to navigate that
you
situation.
got to be able. This is part of your people skills, and this is part of your systems analysis and thinking. So yes, these are great people. To a person, the ones that I've dealt with are wonderful. But sometimes it will challenge you to find the best way to work with them, and that's what I want people to be aware of. That they're tremendous people and they offer so much, but they're not the traditional SME, and you got to think about it a little bit differently.
That's great. Is there anything else you feel that people should know about SMEs, about this subject at this level?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is SMEs make great designers. So if you are now an SME and you're interested in this field of instructional design, there is an incredibly easy pathway for you. It's the pathway I came in on, is starting from that side of things and learning about this part of the world. And there's so many things you can do here with that. In fact, one of the books that I'll be writing in the future will probably be the path from SME and classroom teacher to be an instructional designer, because I want people to feel comfortable with that. And that's the way most of us got here. I don't know of anybody that was in high school thinking, wow, I want to grow up to be an instructional designer. If that person exists, give me a call. I'll go buy a dinner or something, because I just have never met them. We all came from a different path. So if you are now an SME, feel extremely comfortable coming into our world and seeing what this is all about. And the other thing is, never undervalue subject matter experts. Never, ever. They provide so much that you, frankly, cannot provide. If you get into very technical areas of different things, there's no way you can do that. And a designer who tries to be a subject matter expert usually ends up looking pretty foolish, because you will miss the obvious things. Just like I would know a designer right or wrong. I can tell if somebody knows what they're doing. Subject matter experts can look at me and say, Chuck, you don't know anything about this. So, stop trying to pretend. And so you got to have this relationship. It's a trust thing. You just have to say, okay, I trust you. Give me the good content, and you got to trust me the good designs. So
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for your insights on this. It's been helpful, and
good.
hopefully it's been helpful to everybody here as well. We want to thank you for tuning in. It's been a great session, and we hope that you'll tune into more sessions. We put them out weekly, and we do live Q&As. We will be doing some live Q&As soon, as well as some really amazing interviews with ISD experts. So stay tuned and subscribe, please. This way you can be notified when we have new content and when we go live. Have a great day.